YouTube. What's up, baby? Back in this thing again for another review. This is Q's Insight. I am Callie, and today we're going to be talking about Stranger Things Season 4, Episode 3, entitled The Master and the Superhero. Alright? So if you've been to this channel before, you know how we do it. We started off with the premise, 3 favorite scenes, the grade, and then we on to the next one, right? So, again, Stranger Things Season 4, Episode 3, entitled The Monster and the Superhero. So, on this, we start off in Nevada with General Sullivan going to talk to Dr. Owens about the happenings in Hawkins right now. You feel me? Like the whole murder of Chrissy, and I don't know if they talk about Fred's death, but I know they talk about the murder of Chrissy and how he's never seen anything like this, and that this is equivalent to something that Elle can do. So he's telling Dr. Owens, like, hey, if you know that Elle is alive and you know where she is, you need to go ahead and let us know, so that way we can bring her in for questioning, make sure that she didn't do this type of thing. But Dr. Owens, negates knowing of Elle's well-being, even though he does know that she's good and all that stuff like that, and she's alive and everything, but he just doesn't spill the beans to the general. So the general ends up, searching through his house, finds these files, and then he leaves. Then after that, we pick up in the skating ring, and we see Angela getting help from like the EMTs. You feel me? And she's still crying. And we see Elle sitting down like at this little table or whatever, and she's still like bothered. She's still mad. You know what I'm saying? She's still like in that phase of like, just what how it is, like when your adrenaline is pumping, and then like you get over the situation, but still your adrenaline is still kind of pumping, and you're still kind of just going through that situation as well. That's the kind of phase that she was in, as we saw her after Jessica was checked, or after after Angela was checked upon her by the EMTs. So yeah, then we go to Jonathan, and he's picking up Elle, Will, and Mike from the skating ring, and he sees the devastation of what happened. So everybody's just kind of in awe. You know what I'm saying, about like what went down and the way that it went down. Um, um, yeah. So they end up going home, and they find out that Murray's there, and Murray and Joyce don't exactly tell the kids what they're doing. They kind of create a lie, and Joyce does have to go to Alaska, and Murray's gonna go with her, but Joyce tells the kids, hey, I got to go to Alaska, and this is for my job type thing. So you guys gonna be here, for some time by yourself. Uh, so then at the dinner table, as everybody's eating, Elle's not eating, you know what I'm saying? Because she's still kind of going through that whole trigger, like, feeling that she was going through, right? She's still mad. She's still not feeling like herself, Her whole day got ruined, and she got picked on, in front of her boyfriend, and, she per se got in trouble for what she did after getting picked on. So, it's just all around, it's just she's having a bad experience. So she's not eating, she's not talking, she's just kind of staring at her food. And Mike says something to her, and it just he shouldn't have said it. So it wasn't anything like super crazy, but he said something that he should have just kept his mouth closed. And so what she did was she left the table, she went upstairs, and that was that. And now she's gonna probably be mad at Mike for a longer period of time than she would have, had he not said anything, because she wasn't exactly mad at Mike at all in the situation. But now you done created the anger coming towards you, so it's a bad look for Mike. Anyways, um, when she goes into her room, she starts having flashbacks of what took place um, in the laboratory, where all the subjects were, and the very like when we saw the first episode and all the subjects had got killed or whatever it may have been, and then it was you see her still alive, and then the doctor is still there, and he's like looking at her like, "What have you done?" So she keeps having flashbacks of that situation. Um, so yeah, we see that again happening to her. Um, then we actually see Vecna, and he's in the upside down. And he ends up like mm, we see how his powers work. We see how he's able to find certain individuals. And that was pretty cool. Kind of looked like Cerebro, like when Professor Xavier, like X-Men, when he goes into Cerebro, like on the movies though, on the X-Men movies, when he goes to Cerebro and he's able to tap into all the mutants and see what they're doing, and he can even contact with them and have interactions with them, talk um, through his mind to them using telepathy. So it's kind of like the same thing per se. So it was cool to see that um, explanation of how Vecna, was able to do his thing. Um, so then after that, Jason and his crew, I'm saying, the other basketball team members, as well as Lucas, they're getting ready to look for Eddie. Um, and then from there, we see Dustin and the crew, um, and they're still they had found Eddie the last episode, so they made sure that everything was okay, and it's the next day, so they're bringing him some food, so we can eat, and just to kind of bring him back around to being Eddie and not just such a paranoid, delusional person because of what he's seen and because of what he went through. Um, then they tell Eddie that the cops think that he killed Chrissy, which is a bad situation because um, you know people are going to start coming after him. It's not just going to be the cops. People are going to start coming after him. Just as Jason is coming after him. Because um, Chrissy was his girlfriend. Um, so then from there, uh, we see that the cops have now found Fred's body, and it's kind of a weird situation because you had Chrissy die the way that she did, you have Fred died the way that he did, and on one hand of the situations, on one of the murders that they think it's a murder, you know what I'm saying, they can pin that on Eddie, but for Fred's death, there's nobody around him, and the only person that was around him was Joyce, but when he died, she wasn't around him, and she has, um, a testimony per se, like backup, you know what I'm saying, because she was with the sheriff trying to look for Fred. And then also before that, she was with um, Eddie's uncle talking to him about, like, interviewing him and trying to figure out, like, what happened, and just find out things about Eddie. Um, so it's weird because that's a body that's dead, killed like Chrissy was, and I'm talking about Fred, but there's no one to pin the death on, you know what I'm saying? There's no one to pin the murder on, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, are they going to open up their eyes and maybe think that maybe it wasn't Eddie, or are they going to still think that was Eddie that killed Chrissy, and then, still have this situation of the unknown uh, murder of Fred? You don't know. Um, but then after that, we get Dustin and the crew, and they end up seeing Nancy. You know what I'm saying? Um, and then from there, Mike and Elle, they talk about things just as far as like what's been going on, her lying, just the situation that occurred at the skating ring. He tries to explain to her that like I've gone through being bullied myself. I wasn't the most popular student at my school, so you didn't have to lie and try to big yourself up or make things seem like they're okay when they weren't, because I would have definitely helped you out, and I would have, I just would have been there for you. And so yeah, that's what the talk that they had, that's what it was about pretty much. Um, and then from there we get the cops, and they come to Will's house, and the reason why they're there is that they want to come arrest Elle for the skating ring incident that took place, and they do that. And then we go back to Jim, and he hears from Enzo, the guy that's been in contact with Joyce, and he tells Jim that your girlfriend or whatever it may be says she's going to bring the money, and then what if she brings the money and everything goes well, I'll get you out of here. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, we go to Nancy, and she tells the crew what she knows as far as like about Victor, and then about Fred, and so yeah, and they're just trying to figure stuff out, put things together, as far as like what happened, and also trying to piece together information and things like that about Vecna. Um, so what ends up happening is they think that maybe because Max is with them, and Max tells them, like Chrissy was seeing the same shrink that I was, the school shrink that I was. So maybe Chrissy had divulged some type of information to her, and maybe we can go follow that up. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they end up doing. Robin and Nancy, they go to a library to look up information on Victor, and then Dustin and Steven and Max go to the school shrink's house, and Max is going to try to talk to her, try to get the information from her that she can. So yeah. Um, so then again, we see Vecna, and we see him kind of per se choosing another victim, and it's one of the basketball team members. It's the other black kid. Um, so I don't know if that means that he's gonna die, or if he just tapped into him for something, for a certain reason. You know what I'm saying? I don't know exactly. We don't know exactly. Um, and the guy's name is Patrick. It's Lucas's friend. I mean, they're all friends because they're all part of the basketball team. As far as that basketball crew that I'm talking about. Um, so, anyways, Jason and the crew, they go to Eddie's friend's house, and they have a band, of course. And so he's trying to question one of the dudes about like where's Eddie, and let me know now. And they didn't give any information because they didn't know. And so Jason ends up like socking one of the dudes, stepping on his hand, is about to break it. And then the guy says, oh well, maybe Dustin knows. So now Eddie's going after Dustin, which in return makes Lucas even feel even more worse about what he's doing, because he was part of the Hellfire crew. So it's a bad situation for him. And then from there, um, we see Elle getting interrogated by the cops for the incident. Um, and then Mike and the guys go to see Elle, but they can't exactly talk to her because they don't have um, per se her guardian, her mother, which would be Joyce, which is not really her mother, but they don't have the guardian there in order to talk to Elle. So they're being notified that Elle's going to be taken to a detention center. So Robin and Nancy are at the library. They find out more information about Victor, which was pretty cool. Um, Max actually sees the school shrink. She tries to ask about Chrissy, but the shrink tells her like, I can't tell you about information like that. Like, you know, that's sealed. You know what I'm saying? That's only between me and Chrissy. So Max ends up stealing the key from the shrink, and the key is for the office at the school, which would have the information that they're looking for, like the notes that the shrink took on Chrissy. So now they leave that spot, headed to the school to get the information. So Jason and the crew, they go looking for Dustin, and so they go to his house, but no one's there. Once they can't find anybody, Lucas actually sneaks into the house, grabs the walkie-talkie, Lucas tells Dustin that, you know, hey, Jason and the crew, they're about to come after you, bro. You know, like try to lay low type stuff. And yeah. And then after that, we see Dr. Owens and his workers, and what they do is they take Elle from the cops. So now she's in the custody of Dr. Owens and his workers, are, you know, they're like a security, like government type agents, whatever. So then Jim, he ends up having this guy like beat the shackles that are on his feet, so that way his feet can, I guess, fit through the shackles and he can be, like, you know, free. Maybe he's trying to escape that way, you know. And then from there, Robin and Nancy, they find out about Vecna, a little more about Vecna, and Victor, you know what I'm saying, like, while they were still at that library. So that was another thing. Not only did they find out about Victor, but they found out about Vecna more. Putting two and two together. And then Max and the crew, they find out some stuff when they go to the shrink's office, as far as looking in the files. And then from there, we get Dr. Owens, and he tells Elle that the world needs your help, you know, to combat against this new evil force. Yes, you went against forces like this before, but this is a little different. She in return tells him, you know, even if I wanted to help, you know what I'm saying, I wouldn't be able to because I don't have my powers. And so he tells her, I have a way to give you back your powers, and not only give you back your powers, but they will be even stronger than they were before. So that way you can, you know, fight against this evil force. And then Max, when she's going through, you know, some of the people's files, she ends up finding out that Chrissy and Fred were actually going through the same thing, and some of the symptoms that they had before they died, she actually is going through herself. So that's a bad thing. And then right before the episode ends, she hears Vecna call her name, and then she actually sees him. So that was it for the episode as far as the premise. Three of my favorite scenes would be the library scene with Nancy and Robin. Just them finding out stuff about, you know, Victor, and then them piecing things together to think that, oh, well, this is probably not Victor, but it's probably Vecna. And, you know, Victor was probably you know, he probably got blamed for what Vecna did, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, and the second scene would be the the diner with Owens, and the diner scene with Owens and Elle. Like, you know, them just basically coming to the conclusion that, you know, hey, we need your help. Okay, I'll help you, but I don't have my powers. I got you. I'll give you this serum. It'll give your powers back plus more, and, you know, you'll be ready for the fight. That was a cool scene. And then the third favorite scene will be Max, you know, finding out what she found out as far as with Chrissy and Fred, and then, you know, her seeing Vecna. That's a scary situation, because you don't want her to run into Vecna and end up dying, because, you know, that's one of the star, you know, members. So hopefully that's not what happens. Maybe she just has a connection with them, but I'm hoping that she doesn't die, because as far as the girls go, she's probably my favorite character. But that'll be three of my favorite scenes. The grade for this, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Still strong, but less than the first and the second one. Now, if you saw this episode, let me know what you guys thought about it in the comments down below. Do you still like the way things are going? Do you feel like this episode was weaker than the first two? Or do you prefer this episode over the first two? Let me know about that in the comments down below. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. As always, this is Q's Insight. I am Callie. Till next time.